The easiest way
Check.
to get into the meditative state is to begin by listening. If you simply close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you, just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world as if you were listening to music. Don't try to identify the sounds you're hearing. Don't put names on them. Simply allow them to play with your eardrum. Don't judge the sounds. There are no, as it were, proper sounds or improper sounds.
Testing.
Just sound.
Testing.
I think we're good.
Oh my gosh. It's like the Da Vinci Code.
Right?
Yay! How's it going? How are you?
Very good. How's the lighting okay? I think it's fine.
Yeah, great. It's better than mine.
Awesome blossom. I don't know if it's too bright or not. Let me actually turn it down a tad bit. There we go. That's better.
Yeah. I'll brighten up. You can darken. We can equalize.
There you go. Synchronicity is good.
So I was looking back through our correspondence over the years now, and I realized I'm a total asshole. In my head, so like, okay, you know, we have like our internet friends and acquaintances, and like we have like maybe like a name or an image attached to them. And then I was thinking today, I'm like, gosh, we've never like formally like, I'm like, I don't know if I know like your actual name. You've been Zen in my head. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, that person. But please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so it's Zenith Sanguine, and most people just call me Zen just for short because it's just more simple. Yep. And I'd like to consider myself a professional free spirit, and here to change the world. So that's why I'm always doing something crazy.
Woo. That's so funny. Have you ever seen, this is I don't watch many shows, but I watched the show Silicon Valley. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I'm familiar with the show, no, but I recognize that voice, of course.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was kind of funny, but it's about obviously Silicon Valley, and that was like the motto of like all of these companies are like, oh, we're trying to change the world through blah blah blah, but it's all BS marketing really. But it was just every time I hear that phrase, that show has ruined it. But it's like the corporate changing the world, you know, like the corporate slogan.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to get on here today just to kind of like, you know, whatever. I know we discussed a couple of things that we wanted to talk about, but anything you want to bring to the table, go for it.
Yeah. Just a little bit more about me real quick is I'm in the process of becoming ordained by the Pastafarian faith. And I'm hoping to be ordained by 2 different sections of this church. And in some parts of the internet, they call me most blasphemous preacher Zenith. So that's something that I've been super fired up about lately. I do a lot of animal rights activism. I have for a number of years. Public speaking, I get paid to do that as well. And I recently moved to Vegas, very excited about that, and hoping to go to TEDx soon. So that is an upcoming goal of mine. So public speaking has been a big part of my life over the last, I'd say maybe a year or so. And I'm really excited to be here. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Happy to have you. Going back, so you mentioned you're being ordained for, what was the religion sect? I missed it.
Yeah, the Pastafarian faith. Are you familiar with the flying spaghetti monster?
Got it. Yeah. I'm thinking of like the graphic, like the spaghetti monster graphic.
Yeah, it was an old meme. It was like it was an internet meme, like one of the earliest ones. And then as time went on, it actually did grow and evolve, but a lot of people didn't realize that it grew and evolved. So there's just like with any faith, really, there's some people that are kind of behind it on the times or just assume it's a joke, or there's varying gradation of seriousness people take it. So.
Ah, okay. So see, I wasn't aware. I remember coming across that years ago, kind of like, yeah, like that was like an early meme, right? And then years later seeing a bumper sticker and be like, oh my gosh, that's right. But I didn't know that it was still a practicing, I'm kind of unaware of yeah, explain. Tell me what are the recent developments of Pastafarianism?
Yeah, so I mean, it started in about 2004, I believe, with Bobby Henderson, the first prophet, and he wrote a letter to the Kansas City Education Board saying, hey, if you're going to teach intelligent design instead of science, well, then maybe we should teach other forms of intelligent design, because the whole Christianity thing isn't the only version of it. So he shared his version of it that he was given the wisdom of through the flying spaghetti monster of unintelligent design. Because, I mean, if you look around the world, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. So to say that our creator is omniscient and perfect and, and never makes any mistakes, I mean, how does that justify sin and Satan and hell, right? Like, there's some things that just don't make sense if you really think about it. I mean, platypuses, look at them. They're like some of the strangest creatures ever. What justifies that? So, and then it evolved past there. Other prophets came about, other books were written, and unfortunately, a lot of traditional Pastafarians haven't read some of that stuff. So that's been something I've been kind of fired up about, as well as, so it's actually an art collective. So it's not just like a faith-based thing. It's more about changing the world in a positive way using art. And then I do talent management as well through a collective and Primalist co-op. So I work with people in the adult industry for people in the adult industry. So it's not like a top-down system. It's non-hierarchical.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, is my stream down? Does it say?
Fucking music.
Oh no, I think they dinged me for playing that music.
Oh, has that happened? Lovely.
What? Oh well, we can just keep talking. It's being recorded anyways. Gosh,
Alrighty.
always something, right? They're just like, you guys are not.
It's kind
going
of ironic. I told you that today, didn't I? I was talking about YouTube.
Yeah. Oh yeah, which I'd love to go into that as well, because we kind of all know. I mean, YouTube's not the greatest, especially for alternative viewpoints, and as far as like really trying to change the world, it seems there's some shady dealings.
Don't get me wrong, children are important, they're young and impressionable mind, but something about like being in all age spaces and talking about sex is weird to me. So for me, I like to go to places where adults are welcome and there's an easy way to differentiate my content from just random people like PewDiePie or something that is just spouting nonsense. Like, I like to have that differentiation, and that which is popular is rarely, if ever, the best. And that which is the best is rarely, if ever, popular, in my opinion.
Cool. Have you gotten into like, so I know like, what are like the big alternative platforms? There's BitChute, I don't know if you looked into like Float at all, but I still like, I haven't, me and like people I've talked to, we haven't really found a home, so to speak, other than, there's as far as putting content out there, and it's hard to get away from these platforms that have a bigger reach, really, because it's like, it's a balance between like quality and quantity.
I think it was you that brought to my attention Float. Was it you?
Maybe.
Did you go there for a little bit? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because I went to the first, they did a Float Fest, and so I was trying to promote it a lot.
Yeah. I'd say recently I started exploring the most with MeWe. That's a decent platform, and it's cross-compatible and non-censorship. It's freemium based, and it's got a lot of groups and a decent amount of activity there too. So we've been building our business there, and then there's some others for my industry. Of course, things like FetLife and Crowdcast has been super accommodating to us, even though our content is pretty racy. But things like even artistic nudity is even welcome on that platform, as long as it's not expressly erotic, like as long as the intention isn't to be erotic. So that's pretty cool to have a platform kind of like this. I mean, You wouldn't be able to bring up a bunch of nudity on Streamlabs, I'm pretty sure.
No, yeah,
So.
especially not.
Oh. Have we got a co-host there? Yep.
Oh, yes. Always has to butt
Says,
in. He's quiet all day until I turn the camera on, right? That's just how it goes.
I know how that is. I had 11 cats at one point, me and my ex-wife.
Wow.
Yeah, I only half joke around that we had 2 apartments and one was for the cats, but that's kind of how things ended up working out. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I've at one point, I think it was, I lived in a house. My ex and I, it was like 6 or 7 cats, but just there's strays. There's so many cats that need homes. It's easy to accumulate.
Yeah, I know. Having too big of a heart, you know, it can be a blessing and a curse for sure.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Oh, I wanted to ask you. So, I know you're involved in the adult entertainment industry. Have you heard anything as far as the adoption of NFTs into that industry?
Yeah, it's just like the internet itself. It's just like the automobile versus the horse and buggy. You either learn about it and get involved, or you eventually become obsolete and then begrudgingly go along with it. And at that point, it's too late for you. Those are your options, because I myself was kind of grumpy about it too. And I was like, oh, what is this going to do to artists and that type of stuff? And then I actually researched it, just like with veganism. I used to bully vegans. And then I actually researched it and I was like, okay, there's actually a lot of sensibility to that. It's the same thing with NFTs. So we were actually active on a platform. I'm an ambassador for RD Land. So it's a fantastic platform and we mint NFTs there. Very, very low to no gas fees, really, until you sell the content, which is great. So there's still issues with NFTs. There's still issues with the blockchain, but there's a lot of things that are getting better about it. So that's a great platform where we're building metaverses, and anyone can build a metaverse. I could help you build one, and on that platform, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that seems to be like, for me, talking about like that or looking at that sort of area. As far as like NFTs and what are their applications and how could they realistically be used? I feel like that sector is definitely, there's a lot of opportunity there. I have a friend who she's moved from OnlyFans onto that sort of type of medium where she's selling her content as an NFT, to where it kind of gives it almost more value also, rather than just sort of like strictly subscription-based services. So it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. Like actual real applications into all of this.
Absolutely. A lot of people think it's just like little pictures or whatever, but there's actual utility, and it's going to change the world. It already is changing the world. And just like with most things, people are either get involved when it's happening and they have a say in it and they can help grow it and develop it and make sure it's ethical. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why we have the 8 futurist ethics, is something that we wrote in Primalist Co-op that we've been promoting with Angelina and some other pioneers in that space, and doing what I can to promote that. I can probably find a link for you if you're curious about that.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'm going to mute myself so I don't typing ASMR while I find it for you. But
but it's ASMR, right? Oh, am I still streaming? I'm screen sharing? I don't think I am I? Huh. I think you're just behind.
Oh, maybe. Sorry.
That's okay.
You're right. There you go. Sorry.
So yeah, I didn't really get a chance to look into so the Primal Lust and then the Crowdcast links you sent me, but
yeah, if you want to read off some of the titles or whatever, if there's anything you're curious about there, or I sent you a couple of videos. I don't think those have any music, so they shouldn't get taken down.
Yeah, so it's weird. I guess the stream went back up. Like it got taken down, and then I guess we're back. They just blocked it for a second. It's like, I'm not monetized.
Yeah, you're right. I see it now.
Super cool. Oh yeah. Oh, so the I forgot. So the vegan dishonesty video. Are we gonna dive into that?
Yeah, sure. We could do that.
Yeah.
While we're talking about technology, though, let me send you this real quick. I
Yeah.
don't know if that came up
I was
there.
going through the links you sent me and I got distracted. I'm like, oh yeah.
Did that come up in StreamYards, or I can type it there in the chat? I see that that's up now.
Oh, it must be in the private chat. There we go. Boom.
And I see the audience here. Hello, Austin, Godless, Devin, Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey, for your help. And yeah, glad that we are back live.
Woo! Can we see it? Oh, yes. Cool.
Yes. So this is something that we worked on, me and my business partner, and we kind of ran it past Angelina Alexandrovich. She is the CEO of Raspberry Dream Labs and Raspberry Dream Land. And it was an honor to have her on our crowdcast. And these are the 8 futurist ethics. So I feel like I'm an anarcho-primitivist as well as an anarcho-feminist. And I feel like with anything, it's not about abolishing technology as an anarcho-primitivist. It's about questioning technology. I feel like anything should be questioned. I mean, a knife is a technology. A match is a technology. These are technologies. The thing is, it can be used for good or it could be used for bad. And unfortunately, we live in a world right now where there's a lot of powerful corporations that are kind of ruling our world and doing some kind of questionable things with technology. So these are the ways that at least we identified that we can keep technology as ethical as possible, in our opinion. So.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so if you want to scroll down a little bit, I think we have some graphics on them.
8 futurist ethics.
Yeah.
Here we go. Tech should empower and set free Earthlings. Tech should not be created just because it can be created. Tech must not enslave or disenfranchise us. I agree.
I think you're going to like that one.
Tech should combat sedentary lifestyles. Yes. Haha.
Right? Encourage real world connections.
Damn e-bikes. No, I'm just kidding. That's better than nothing. Tech should combat sedentary lifestyles. Tech should supplement, not replace the human experience. Disconnecting from other humans and nature in the real world shouldn't be the intention. Gosh, this brings to mind, I was watching, who was it? It was an interview with some person related to corporate tech. It might have been a Google guy, but that was the gist behind his whole interview was that all these companies, all these social media platforms, all this tech, really what it's fighting for is your time and attention.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and
because it can be monetized. They've monetized your time and attention. Yeah, they just see you as a product.
And that's our real currency, right? I mean, we talk about fiat, even crypto. We call these currencies, but the real currency, it's our time, it's our energy, it's our attention.
Yep.
Tech should not supplement and replace the human experience. Yep. Let's see this next one. Let the children be children, adults be adults. Relevant. Less censorship, more connection. 2020s, not 1984.
Right.
Sick. And then last one, tech should be age appropriate for all age groups. So that's an interesting one. So what are your thoughts on young children using, let's say, social, or not even social media, but like modern tech? Because on one hand, I feel a little bit of like an old lady at times when I see kids these days.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, like look at this little kid using a tablet. That's not how we did it back in my day. We played in the mud, like, you know. So there's that aspect where it's like, of course, like we have that tendency to want to be, you know, stick to tradition, but it's like, if, you know, you got to get with the times. But it is an odd experience seeing a very young child navigate a large screen, you know, a large touch screen or a small touch screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my business partner is a whole lot more passionate about this than I am about this topic, as far as how firm they are on their perspective. But I agree that, I don't know, the internet isn't really made for children. Like, it just shouldn't be. And I don't know why, like, everyone thinks that it should be for children. Like, I feel like, you know, like, yes, it can be, like I said, it's all about questioning technology. Like, the internet is fantastic and wonderful and great, and can be a great medium of communication and connection and evolution, but everything should be age appropriate, right? Like, I mean, I don't know why we have the children's table and we have the adults table whenever you sit down for a meal. If you have a family that sits down for a meal, it, like, you know, for holidays and things like that, like, I kind of feel like it should be that way with children. But unfortunately, of course, that does open up some issues with predatory activity if someone, like, pretends to be a child and then goes into these children places and then they're not monitored. There's a lot of issues. But just like with the whole, like, policing, you know, versus anarchy type models, it's the same thing. There's a reason these things are happening, and we can try and deal with the symptoms, or we could try and deal with the causes. And I don't think that we're dealing with the causes, because the causes is that we have too many children that are unsupervised. That's the problem. And I think that that needs to be solved, and then the other things will fall into place. But bottom line is, I want safe places for myself. You know what I mean? I'm almost 40 years old, and I feel like I can't do or say what I want to on the internet. I don't feel safe because we're thinking about the sensibilities of 13-year-olds. I don't know why we're thinking about the sensibilities of 13-year-olds on the internet whenever, like, it could be a tool for human progress, you know? And there's, you know, like, children they're a small subsect of the world. And I don't think that they should be treated like, you know, like, necessarily, like, I'm not all for censorship, but at the same time, like, if you're censoring adults from being adults in places where adults should be able to be adults, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's like, yeah, you have a space. If it's tailored for everyone, it's gonna not be really good for any specific person. You're just kind of, yeah, you're muddying the waters. I mean, it's kind of like the whole idea of being like corporate or like advertising. That's kind of why, at least for me, it gives such an icky feeling and comes from such a disingenuous place, because it's to cover all bases. It's just to get the widest reach possible rather than actually.
And this is the reason. I mean, let's be honest. This is the reason.
Oh, like, yeah.
That's the reason. What do you think, Jeffrey? I don't know if you're mic'd up or not.
I have kids. The internet. Well, let's just say I'm glad my daughter is into video games right now instead of searching the internet. So I think obviously there are things, maybe not that many, that are children suitable on the internet. But yeah, I mean, until they can critically think, you know, at least, you know, it's probably better that they're not completely free on the internet. But I'm like, my son just turned 13, and like, so he's starting to, like, you know, his mom's like allowing him to play like video game, like shooters and stuff, like more realistic stuff. And I'm going to have that conversation with him soon. And I started a YouTube, I started a series on YouTube that's kind of like advice that I'm going to be giving my son. And I'm like doing little videos. So if anyone else wants to hear that advice too, you know, it's like advice for teens and also adults type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to have to very quickly start going through these things with my 13-year-old.
And cheers to you for doing that, because that's the important part. I don't feel like these are innately dangerous to children necessarily. Like, I don't believe Marilyn Manson caused Columbine or something. You know what I mean? As long as there's guidance, as long as there's people saying this is a video game, this is fantasy, but the reality of shooting someone is not so cool and not so glamorous. But if you don't have that guidance, then there's a major problem. I
think kids know the difference between reality and fiction for the most part. But at the same time, if kids get too much fiction growing up, I can see that as actually harming them also. To where, and especially when they're little sponges absorbing everything. Exactly. And so if they're absorbing nothing but fiction, that's going to be a problem at a certain point.
Mhm.
And so it's just kind of, it's all a bit of a slippery slope. But as long as they have, as long as kids are around people that love them, you know, and guide them for the most part, I think they'll be okay from the internet, you know. But you know, like there's definitely, just even as adults, you know, the internet can be very bad for adults too, if
Yep.
wielded incorrectly, you know.
Exactly. Love it.
Shall I look at this next triangle?
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. Let's see. Tech should be as close to free as possible. Tech should be open source and available to all. Hell yeah. Tech should be encouraged to be modified and improved upon by their creators. That's why open source is so cool too.
What do you think about Jordan Peterson saying that they should get rid of the anonymity in the internet?
I mean, I have very passionate feelings about George Peterson on a number of topics, but his take on that in particular, I haven't seen, so I can't comment on it.
He's just been kind of talking about how the trolls on the internet are so toxic for us as a society, and that there should be no anonymity on the internet, basically. And anyone who wants to be he says that, like, on Twitter and YouTube and shit, there should be a separate section for anonymous people, not mixed with people that have their names and their faces out, just because the trolls are so toxic. But again, that's like a super slippery slope to complete censorship, you know. And it was strange for him to be saying that, and that kind of makes me very suspicious of Jordan Peterson overall. You know, as some sort, because, you know, these guys that they make popular, that they want to control people with, they'll have them say all this great stuff, you know, so you like them, you know, and then they'll sleep in something really wishy-washy here and there. And that just seems like one of those things where it's like, how could you think that, you know? And then, like, if you're going to put yourself on the internet, you should know, you know, I just told someone this yesterday, like, if you're going to put yourself out there, you got to be tough skinned. You got to know, you know, that someone may say something mean to you, you know. And it's kind of funny because Jordan is kind of emulating, you know, like he wants to, like, in a way, he's emulating the thing he's against the most.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, because I feel about that. Yeah, I feel about that the same way that I feel about people that are like social justice warriors versus anti-social justice warriors. Like, this is a similar debate. And my thing is, why does it have to be one or the other? Like, that is a black and white fallacy right then and of itself. Yeah, why don't the people, why don't the people that are assholes be a little bit less of an asshole? And why don't the people that are overly sensitive, you know, try and toughen up a little bit so that we can have like a civil society? And that's kind of how I feel about the internet as well, is like, I agree, bullying and trolling is horrible, but at the same time, you know, like, trans people exist, and you want to say that, what are you saying, that you have to show your social security card in order to use the internet, and that your dead name has to be displayed by the world? Like, I don't think so. But I am all for, you know, because there's people that are anti-cancel culture and, you know, like anti-woke, and then there's the people that are like on this side of Me Too and wokeness, or whatever you want to call it. But again, it doesn't have to be a black and white fallacy.
Yeah, it's like the false paradigm of the left versus the right, or falling into the same political it's same
nonsense.
Yeah, same form of control, really. And we get insulated in these echo chambers on social media. I mean, you know, I see it on Facebook, to where it's almost like you get this insulation of an echo chamber, and then you're shown only the most extreme, suppose the opposite end of the spectrum of, like you said, let's say, of, like, you know, a Me Too movement versus the anti-cancel culture, let's say, you know, like, or alt-right. All of these things, they're false paradigms that hold us back.
Yep. And I just want to point out, some people are asking things like, so I see that there's a great comment here, because we shouldn't leave it up to the government to decide for children, but without families, whom else? And that's the thing, is you got to solve the problem was why we have so many broken families. There's a lot of issues. The drug war has a lot to do with that. Capitalism in and of itself has a lot to do with that, because a lot of these are, schools to prison pipelines. So there's a lot of issues there. And then someone else mentions thing about, who's going to make all this stuff free, and who's creating all this tech for free, and free always comes with string attached. Yes, but you're mentioning great issues with capitalism in and of itself. I'm not sure where you all lie on the spectrum, but I'm not a fan for ANCAP myself. So even though I'm talking about blockchains,
distinguish the current system as, say, like crony capitalism? Do you see it distinguishing from how, like, what we are currently using, and the definition of capitalism, or an ANCAP style capitalism? Yes, correct, exactly.
I'm sorry, could you ask again?
I was just asking, do you see do you distinguish kind of how would you call our current system purely capitalism, I guess, or like purely free market capitalism?
No. We're living under what's called a plutocracy, in my opinion. And that is, a corporation or a country owned by the elite for the elite, by corporations. The corporations, the banks themselves have, the power to rule countries and governments. And that's pretty much what we have right now. And that is an extreme, I feel like that is a mix between fascism and capitalism. But this is just, one person's opinion. So,
yeah, I used to fancy myself pretty hardcore, I would say, ANCAP, but I think over time I've sort of come to the realization that true freedom, anarchy land, there's not. That's sort of like, it kind of all flows together. ANCAPs and ANCOMs can coexist and live in a much better, freer state of being than what we're living in now.
I don't know. I mean, I can see that perspective. I generally disagree, because my concern is that capitalism in and of itself is an oppressive hierarchy. I don't feel like a free market. I kind of feel like that's a fairy tale.
Is it the profit aspect that you think is like the corrupting part?
Well, it sounds like you know a little bit about fiat currencies. In order for someone to have, that means that someone else must have not. Like, currencies only work if there's a finite. I mean, even cryptos, it only works if there's a finite amount of it, and it only works if you believe in its spending power. And if you have it, that means someone else doesn't have it. That is a hierarchy. And I feel like, most people don't want to be oppressed under some sort of economic system. And a lot of people don't choose that. They were born in some sort of economic class, generally speaking, unless you want to talk about socialism and stuff. And that brings up a whole lot of other issues. I feel like the most ethical thing is what has been tried and true for eons. And that is, gift economies. Generally speaking, indigenous societies existed more or less. At least they didn't have global warfare to the degree that we have. Yeah, there was little squabbles here and there, but they got along just fine without banks. I mean, at some point, yes, they were trading shells and things of that sort, and that became some of the early forms of capitalism, early forms of currency, I should say. But generally speaking, that capitalism and money, as we call it, is actually a new invention in the grand scheme of things.
So how would you regulate people from starting markets?
I wouldn't. I'm not here saying that I have all the answers. What I'd advocate for is communities to make their own decision. So if they wanted to create their own markets, fantastic. That's great. But to impose a market on people is kind of oppressive.
Yeah. So in my vision of anarchy land, a guy named Bob Murphy wrote this lecture called Chaos Theory. In my version of anarchy land, nothing really changes. If government disappeared tomorrow, all these cities would stay, but they would. You'd have different flavors of communities. Every community you would come across would be doing things a different way. There would be socialist-looking communities. There would be communities that look exactly like our government now, and then there'd be anarchist communities and all kinds of stuff like that.
Mhm.
And that seems
and that's the issue is we have consolidation of power right now. That's the problem.
Yeah,
is we
we have
have
no
one
choice.
group,
In anarchy
like
land, we'd have a
imposing
choice
upon others.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And if I don't like a specific area, I can opt out. Like right now, how do we opt out of capitalism? Like if someone can tell me how to do it, that would be great. But aside from going towards blockchain and inventing my own system, I don't know how to opt out of capitalism.
So you would consider blockchain capitalism still, or not capitalism?
No, yeah, I mean, you're right. There's definitely an argument for that. That by advocating for crypto, you are advocating for a fiat currency and capitalism. Like I can understand that.
Yeah, that fiat's so much better for us, though. You know, than clearly we have crony capitalism now, which is
right.
government imposing monopoly on all of us. And then enforcing us to use their terrible inflationary currency, and that's where it's cool with crypto. We can you can make your own currency and make it not inflationary and use all these other coins that are so much more freeing, and and the more people it's just like with the new crypto gaming. Once all these kids learn that they can make money playing video games, they're not going to pay to play video games anymore. And once that paradigm shift happens, it's going to be really quick, especially with the crypto. But yeah, the crypto gives you so much more freedom outside of the crony capitalism we're dealing with now, which is definitely something we can't opt out of. But in my anarchy land, like that's kind of still. I mean, I would still call it anarcho-capitalism because it's free market capitalism versus crony capitalism, which we have now. We haven't had free market cap. Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And it's funny because the next one on the list, if you scroll down a little bit, we're talking about the next one. It's kind of funny that happened.
Yeah, decentralization. That's the shit right there.
Tech improvements should be difficult to erase or censor. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go for it.
Should be difficult to erase or censor. Okay, that's like, blockchain, right? Tech should not be centralized and monopolized. Tech should be perpetually fragmented and transparent on the blockchain. Hey, yeah, perfect segue. Decentralize it.
Yeah, when I explain decentralization to people that don't really understand it, their mind is blown usually. And it's DeFi, crypto DeFi has been a real good way to explain it to people. Just basically being like, if you need a loan, would you rather download an app and not deal with another human and get it no matter what, or would you rather go beg the Rothschilds for it, who've enslaved us for hundreds of years, and it's like, wouldn't you just rather, use an app and not deal with any humans whatsoever? And they're just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But having people not be able to manipulate the currency we're using is a very, very big step in us attaining more freedom. That's for sure. Tribe, you should come up, man.
Yep, definitely. Tribe's and then you'll notice the next one, our friend, you were talking about Peterson. I'm sure he'd love the next one.
Sorry, we just mute. By the way, I think you called him George Peterson earlier, and I just want to say I absolutely loved that.
Me or
like
Jordan Peterson?
No, you called him George when you first said his name.
I?
Yeah, we like making up fake names for celebrity thought leaders.
It looks like a George to me.
Yeah.
Totally
George Peterson. I'm going to call him that from now on.
Yeah. No, I'm going to steal that now.
Like Alec Jones. Alec Joan.
Joan, singular. Alec
Joan. So we stole that from Mike from Red Bar. Shout out.
All right, so make it autonomous. Tech should not violate privacy or civil rights, nor should tech distort or control flow of information. Tech should not be a tool for data mining and mass surveillance. Huh. That's we're in deep with that one. They have a lot of information, but
Hey, what can I say? I'm an idealist, painfully.
part of the commons. Tech should be without a central government authority. Tech should be by the community for the community. No red tape, which consumers, developers, and distributors have little to no say or guidance in.
And this one almost kind of like echoes some of the earlier ones, of course, if you know much about decentralization and, like open source technology. But I feel like it, needed to be echoed.
What incentive would people have to make tech?
Probably the same incentive people have to make art. There's this kind of belief that people are like, we need the profit motive and trickle down, capitalism. Otherwise people would just be lazy and sit on their butt all day. I don't believe that. I think that even the laziest potheads will sit on their butt all day for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks until they're like, okay, I want to make something cool. Yeah, right. I think that humans are innately creative and innovative beings that want to elevate and want to share. That is my belief. I haven't met too many people that aren't that way. And when I do, honestly, I steer clear from them.
Let me unmute. Simple to use. Tech should be mass adoptable. Tech should be accessible to just about everyone. Tech should be used intuitively or with little direction.
And of course, there's always, with all technologies, there's a period where things scale up. I mean, we can talk about we're here on StreamYard and YouTube, but there was a time my mother actually used to work for the soundboards where you plug in order to transfer calls to different, you had a physical wire and a cord. You needed a highly skilled, highly educated, technician to work the soundboards. Those were the earlier forms of the telephone. So things do need to scale up. And so, of course, at first, we're seeing this with blockchain. You try and describe blockchain to most laymen, they have a really hard time with it. But that's just kind of the way that anything is. The combustion engine. Most people don't know how the combustion engine actually works. If you ask them, can you describe how a motor vehicle works? Most of them couldn't describe it. But that doesn't mean that they can't still get in the car, turn the key, and drive. And it's the same thing with blockchain technology, with NFTs. I see someone mentioned potheads created the internet, possibly. And one of the things that I talk a lot about is scarlet collar workers. I know most people know them as sex workers. I feel like linguistics is important. We got to be real careful about the words we use. Using the term sex work, I think, really holds back sex workers. But scarlet collar workers are actually the ones that propel technology, all technologies, including phone chats, chat rooms, IRC chats, NFTs, crypto. Scarlet collar workers are usually always the ones that really propel new technologies. And then once those technologies become more mass adopted, the tech companies end up ousting them, which is fun. So that's just something I wanted to mention.
I definitely agree. Sex worker sounds like you're a hooker. Not the greatest word.
Exactly. That's why we've been, and the thing is, scarlet collar worker, we didn't invent that term. That term's been around. But if you're going to acknowledge that sex work is real work, you have to treat them like workers. Sorry about the background noise.
Oh, was that the last one?
Yeah, I believe that was it. But if you scroll to the top, if you scroll to the very top and click the banner.
Very top, this guy right here?
Sorry, the flyer. Below that, my bad. It just goes, that right there. You can click on it.
Boom.
Yep. So if anyone's curious, I don't expect us to watch this during this, of course. But if anyone is curious of more on this topic, we speak to someone on the cutting edge of sex tech. And you can just click the watch replay. It's free. Put your email in and watch it. And it's an hour plus conversation on the futurist ethics. So just sharing that with the world.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell my friend that I was talking about earlier, who she got involved with NFTs. I'll definitely direct her over there. She'll be interested in that.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. But at any rate, that's enough like self-promo, I guess. That's just one of many things that we do. But did we want to watch another movie?
Let's watch a movie. Ooh, what should we? Yeah, what should we go over? Did you want to discuss? So the original topic we kind of like started talking about coming on here. Should we go over that one? That clip? Let me bring it up on here from Instagram.
I'm gonna jump off. O'Shea is about to get here.
Nice hanging out with you.
I might be back, but yeah,
Awesome.
nice meeting you, dude. I followed you on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't do much on YouTube. I'm mostly on Instagram and FetLife, but
Okay, I'll follow you
anywhere
there
is
then.
good. Sweet.
I'm gonna put that banner back up while I'm looking for this video.
I love the conversation from the group here. Technology problem there. Yeah, we had a bunch of technology problem earlier. That was fun. What is CBDC? What about the CBDC? I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? Someone in chat was asking.
Centralized banking digital currency.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that is the opposite of decentralization. No, thank you.
That'll be the Fed coin. That's like they're getting everyone kind of used to, XRP. Everyone used to the idea of crypto, and then they're like, my mom was asking me the other day. She's like, "Do you think Bitcoin is it going to become? Is the government going to control it?" I'm like, no, I think they're gonna, either XRP or Fed.
They're going to compete with it,
like that. Yeah, they can't. Yeah. Exactly. My link. So I'm going to post the link in the chat and then I'll get it from there.
Sweet. And if you haven't already, go ahead and give the stream a like and make sure you subscribe to Women Unslaved.
Thanks.
Yeah. Got to do the plug.
Gosh, this makes me navigating live streaming makes me feel like a boomer again, trying to operate a computer for the first time. Like this is shocking. Yeah. Like I'm trying to copy. I showed it, which is fine, but how do I copy the dang hyperlink?
That's why me and my business partner, we redid a bunch of because we have the Crowdcast we've been running for like a year and a few months or whatever. And our earlier ones we were doing on RD Land as well. So we're in the metaverse and streaming live and recording it there on Crowdcast.
Oh my God,
so it was crazy.
Only imagine.
Yeah, so we had to go back and redo them all because of the tech issues we were having. Because of course it was eating up a bunch of our bandwidth.
I'm literally emailing myself a link right now.
Right. Are you on Discord yet?
Yeah, actually, I haven't downloaded it on this computer, but yeah, I've been using Discord for a while.
Yeah, for that type of stuff, I use Skype or Discord.
It's just right. What are your thoughts on the UFOs?
It depends on who's talking about it.
Yeah, right. I've been so out of the loop, and I had the other day, like and my mom was like, "Oh, so what do you think about this?" I'm like, I don't even know. I'm like, the government saying what? Like, I don't.
Yeah,
not
all I got to
really-
say is, you know, like, show us the Maxwell and Jocelyn list. Like, that's all I got to say. Like, anytime
Oh.
anyone's talking about something mainstream, I'm like, so yeah, do you know that, you know, the elites are a pedophile ring and they're still getting away with it? So can we do something about that? That would be great.
Yeah, what happened with that? All right, so can you see it? Can you see it? I think we're up. Cool.
Oh, okay. Was this the original thing that you and I started talking about?
Yep.
Awesome. Because I totally forgot what it was. Yes, I remember. I
had to look back.
40% of this. Cool.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let it play.
There is a resurgence of hatred and fear for people like me who love to be fabulous and dress up and make people laugh like Mrs. Doubtfire. And it is because drag queens are stripping in libraries. They are indoctrinating children in schools without parental consent. And they are in pride parades on an eggplant phallic float, throwing out lubricant packets to children. I went to the Pride Festival here in Utah. I confronted the Church of Satan. The Church of Satan was the most popular booth at the Utah Pride Festival. Still really, really, really upsets me. They were putting blood on people's faces, telling them to denounce Jesus Christ, and women with no shirt on and men wearing adult BDSM, which is, you know, leather, sex play stuff, were around children. And I was standing there with my sign that said Pride Month is obnoxious, and they chanted Hail Satan in my face. Lady MAGA USA is a man who is theatrical, dressing up to make people laugh and to defy the left. I want to make it very clear, drag artistry for me. This wig, this Letterman.
Okay, it just cuts off there, but you get the gist.
Yeah. So this is a classic example of freedom in my way, which is not freedom. Like, either you want freedom or you want a flavor of oppression. And it's weird because it's like, okay, first of all, like we could bring it up on your stream right now, the Church of Satan and what their tenets actually are, and we can actually read them. So anyone that is offended by it, they just literally haven't done their own research on what it is. So you can get triggered, and that's the point. Just like, you know, vegans, people think that veganism is like a diet or something, and they're going to get triggered, you know, oh, that vegan teacher or whatever. And like, oh, people, you know, throwing blood everywhere. That's so extreme, things like that. But like, if you don't actually research these things, well, guess what? It is sensational. We want to catch your attention because we're trying to tell you some common sense stuff and you're refusing to learn. Your cognitive dissonance is refusing to let you just learn and level up a bit. So that's the first thing. And like, yes, some of this goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that things should be like age appropriate. I don't think the issue is adults being adults in adult places. I think it's children being unsupervised. Like, that's the problem that we're having. And tell me the library, you know, like I'm sorry, like tell me the library that these things are happening at. And like, and if it is, like, I'd love to see how it was done, because I don't know, I feel like, yeah, this is a vitriol.
Yeah, it's like while I'm sure there was some questionable doings that I just, it's kind of like you're saying, it's just like it's a sensationalized sort of like mainstream media tactics, and it's like I kind of see what you mean here, especially with the Church of Satan, is we're falling into this again, like almost like another false paradigm. Yeah, like it's I just totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, I got distracted by Xyled one. Sorry. we lost one, guys. We lost one. It's an open panel. It's whatever you can come up if you like. There's a StreamYard link. But yeah, so especially about so the Church of Satan thing, that's kind of like we're seeing, or at least I'm seeing, this sort of response to like the movement of, let's say, atheism, right? Just atheism. There's sort of like this new movement of like these new Christians that sort of are like re-demonizing the Church of Satan, whereas before we kind of knew like, okay, it's like a shock, it's like it's a shocking sort of like thing. It's like it's a tactic they use. And and then back to what I was saying before. So again, how many libraries are having like these like the story times? Like I haven't done the research, but it's one of those things where it's like we have to kind of look into these occurrences and make sure they don't get sensationalized.
Right.
But yeah.
And the bottom line is, you want to demonize something, then you need that basis of comparison. So if you want to talk about like healthy versus unhealthy or whatever, you're saying that this horrible stuff is happening in children that are being groomed or whatever. And like, trust me, I care about children too, right? But let's find out where they're actually getting groomed. Well, they're actually getting groomed by recruiters to go off into the military, and end up being sexually assaulted and or killing people and or dying. They're being groomed by the pastors and the preachers who constantly keep getting out of sex scandals and allegations. They're being groomed by a lot of people. But I don't know. I really feel like drag queens aren't really atop that list of the most grooming like communities in the world of children. Children are definitely being groomed. All right. It's definitely happening. But it's happening in the churches. It's happening in your schools. It's happening in a lot of places. And I don't know. Like 80-20 rule.
Yeah, it's like, I think like what you said, like it comes down to what's the root problem here? Children not being raised proper. Where are the parents? What are the there's a lack of guidance more than anything.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to pull this up or not, but I have the Church of Satan's principles here. So for anyone that's like, oh, what are you talking about? This is crazy or whatever, just so people can actually read them. And you tell me that this is like bad things to be, teaching people. Just saying, like.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this, it kind of goes back to like the whole idea, like people associate occult with, satanic evil. But again, as with anything, as with Freemasons, the occult, Church of Satan, we have to kind of take these principles or what they're putting forth. If they're speaking truth, it's truth. It's like we can't let mainstream media, smear these, this Church of Satan's trying to convert kids and make them gay drag queens. Like it's, we have to be careful. Okay, wait, let me just play that video for me.
Yeah, and show the website that's from too, so people know.
churchofsatan.com. Just the URL.
Yeah, just so people know, this isn't like a random thing pulled from the internet. This is like literally the tenets of Satanism. So like from the Church of Satan.
Yeah. Have you looked into Mark Passio's work at all?
I can't say I know who that is. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's another big figure in truth and freedom movement. But he discusses, so I guess he was involved with the Church of Satan at one point and completely denounced it and says it's evil. But basically his thing is that it's a low level like filter for the elites, so to speak, to find people who are, say, psychopathic enough and smart and intelligent enough, blah, 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 check enough of the boxes. And so they rise up the ranks, so to speak. And then, but
yeah, I don't know enough about that individual to comment on it.
It's like satanic panic style.
Yep. But I mean, you could literally put this in any other website and not include the word Satan in it, and everyone would be like, "Yeah, I agree." But because Satan is involved, like everyone's gonna freak out. But like literally, like
exactly.
all of these, if you were to summarize pretty much all of them revolve around the thing that most all religions teach, and that is consent and the non-aggression principle.
Sorry, Austin, I didn't see you're like, hello.
Welcome.
What's up, guys? I'm just curious, your ideas of Satanism, stuff like that. I don't know. I'm learning. So, who is Satan? A thing, a being, an idea? What is that? What is Satanism? Satan or Satanism?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Satanist. I'm a Zedeist, so I can't like speak as if I'm a Satanist. But I just encourage people to just have critical thinking skills and to just research things before they talk about them. That's my platform. That's what I'm all about. So whenever something triggers me and I'm upset about it, I mean, there was a point I talked mad shit about Discord. Like, you know, there was one point I hated the idea of relationship anarchy. There was a time I used to bully vegans. Like there was a time that I used to bully anarchists. Like, and then I realized, hey, maybe I should like learn a little bit about the things that I speak ill about.
So you
and that's just what I advocate.
You don't believe in Satan, or you believe? I'm trying to understand.
No, I do believe in Satan. I believe I'm speaking to Satan right now. And I'm speaking through Satan right now. Like what I mean is that you are Satan and you are God also all wrapped into one. So that is my belief as a
What's
Zedeist.
the difference? What's the difference between Satan and God?
Well, I'm using these archetypes to point out good versus bad. I'm using it metaphorically right now. I don't believe that there's some evil person that's going to take you into a pit of fire. That's silly. Like unless you show me this point of you know, like pit of fire, you tell me what the temperature is, show me where he's sitting, then I'm not going to believe it. So, but I do believe that you're evil inside, and I do believe that you're good inside, and who you choose to be is who you choose to be.
So it's an ideology. So it's the white and black, yin and yang. Okay.
Yep.
Are you a good person?
It depends on, like, first of all, I'm biased and jaded. So even asking me that question, you're not going to get a good answer from me, because you're just going to get my biased, jaded opinion. I had hoped to prove myself to be a good person to you. That would be my answer.
Are you a bad person?
I would hope to prove myself to be a good person to you.
And we have to look at definitions, right? Like, what do you each you define as a good person? Yeah, what is a good person?
I can say this much.
Immoral? Are you immoral, or are you moral?
I can say this much. I'm far more morally consistent than a lot of people, because I don't talk about peace and respect. I actually practice it every single day by not eating animals. So most people commit, you know, acts of terrorism, like literally on a daily basis. I can say that I do a whole lot less of that, but you can define that how you want to.
So you're saying you're more of God than Satan? Because you said Satan's bad, God's good, and you're saying that you're more good than bad. So
no, I said that you're taking what I said out of context first and foremost. I said that when I'm talking about God and Satan, I'm talking about the archetypes of good and bad, is what I said. I'm using those terms metaphorically. So if you're talking about a literal God and a literal Satan, I'd like to say I wish not to talk about a literal God and a literal Satan, because I don't know them. Just like I don't want to talk about, you know, I'll say George Peterson. George Peterson's take on some things that I haven't heard his take on. I'm not going to talk about it. I haven't met God and I haven't met Satan, so I'm not going to tell you about them.
But you are telling us about them.
I'm telling you my biased, jaded view.
You said that humans are good and bad.
I believe that you have an archetype of good and an archetype of bad inside of you, yes.
So you just said you're not going to tell us about them, but you are telling us about them. So you're telling us that humans are good and evil, while at the same time saying that you're not good or evil. It's like you're...
Well, Austin, we were talking about the Church of Satan specifically, though, like on why this came up. So I
Right.
think, correct me if I'm wrong, we're kind of, what we're talking about are the principles of this
Right.
sect, so
Church
to
of
speak,
Satan.
versus the
And they
entity
look
of
at it
Satan.
metaphorically. No Satanists or Luciferian that I know, and I know an okay number of them, none of them believe in a literal Satan or a literal, like, they don't. I would say that there are probably some really fucked up, mentally disturbed people that are elite, that are like bankers and politicians and people in corporations that actually do believe in it, and they do questionable things. What's that?
You're making a mockery of Satan. You think of Satan as yeah, you're making a mockery of it. Of the Shaitan. You're making a mockery. You're making Satan an ideology, and you're saying that these people who are in power are essentially psychopaths because they believe in Satan but don't think that Satan is an actual being. It's an ideology of evil. It's like the black.
Can I just ask you a question? So you joined the stream, and I appreciate that you're here. I'm just kind of curious of what your intention of asking these lines of questions are. Like, are you hoping to just have a debate? Are you hoping to educate us? What is your goal?
My goal is not. It's not a gotcha, get you. I got you here. I'm trying to corner you. I got you in a corner. It's not that. I'm trying to get logical answers to logical questions. These are logical questions.
The logical answer?
You can't say I'm not asking logical questions. I'm asking logical questions. And
they sound like circular questions to me.
Real quick, I got to jump in here. Hold on, Austin, 1 second. Zen, so just to kind of give you an idea. So I know Austin, he kind of comes from is the Paul and Slave show. It's a pretty scrappy show. So just so you know, we're yeah.
No, I'm really not argumentative. I'm not. I can be quiet. I'll be quiet.
No, it's cool.
No.
But you know how it is over there. It's just.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just again, like, I'm trying to understand your intention of these lines of communication. Are you a Satanist? Yes or no?
No, my intention.
Okay.
My intention.
So wait. Do you mind if I ask another question?
Go ahead.
Real quick. Okay. Are you speaking as if you're a Satanist? Like, do you believe that you know Satan more than Satanists do?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't either. So I'm not going to speak on other people's belief of Satan.
I'm just asking about you, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just want truth. My thing is just I want to know truth. And when I look around the world and everything's completely demonic and evil and satanic, just like the Super Bowl halftime that we just had, and all these things are evil and demonic, there has to be an opposite side to that that's good, right? So I'm trying to understand if you're a good person or a bad person. I don't believe there's a gray area or in between. I think it's really black and white.
You said you don't believe in a gray area?
I don't believe in a gray area.
Okay. So do you believe that good people can do bad things, or that bad people can do good things?
That's a good question. Yeah, which would be a gray area. I understand, but there's probably I got to think about it. Yeah.
Right, because I don't know if you eat animals or not, but do you? I'm just curious.
I do.
Okay. I don't believe that you're necessarily a bad person, but I do believe that you're doing something bad. You don't have to eat animals. You're choosing to eat animals, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty gray to me. And as far as like the Super Bowl and, like satanic rituals on football fields or whatever, I really honestly think that their biggest like problem or issue is that they're doing what sells. They know that people like you are going to go online and freak out about it and talk about it, and they're going to sell more tickets next year.
So in 2022, when they had their halftime show in 2022, and The Weeknd was playing, right? The band The Weeknd, and the word Satan for a split second went across the screen. You don't think that's satanic? Or I'm guessing you're gonna say you didn't see that, so therefore it doesn't exist. I got you.
No,
The
I just
fact that we're
can't speak
talking
on
about
it.
it right
I'm not
now
saying it
just
didn't
shows that it
exist.
worked, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the movie Pi? Pi, P-I, like the symbol, the pi symbol. I strongly recommend you watch that because there's the central message, and I'll give a little spoiler here for you, is that it's this like mathematician, and he sees patterns in like everything, and he like hyper focuses on and obsesses about these patterns. And there's a wise person that's speaking to him, and he's like, look, if your focus is on these patterns, you're going to drive yourself absolutely mad. And while you're focusing on those patterns, you're missing everything outside of those patterns. So I'm not saying that horrible things aren't happening in the world, because there are. But if you're choosing to focus on those, you're missing the good things that are happening too.
You have that completely backwards. What is the purpose of the patterns? Who created the patterns, and why do they exist? You got to go deeper.
I can say this much. I'm all for moral consistency.
That's surface level shit. Why?
Okay,
why
I'm all for moral consistency.
Why were the patterns put there, and who put those patterns there?
That's a great question, and I can't answer it. But I can think there's things in my control and there's things out of my control. I'm not the type of person to speak ill of people that are doing, something bad when I'm doing the same thing bad. Like, I don't have a moral ground to stand on in certain things. So I won't speak ill of people that are doing something that I myself am guilty of. Does that make sense? Or I might have explained that awkwardly.
I see you.
Okay, so every year, the average consumer takes about 100 to 300 lives. Okay, these are innocent beings that have families, they feel, they think, they want to live. So until we're able to save, by not paying for the death of, over 100 to 300 animals, then maybe we'll have some sort of moral ground to stand on. So whether there's bad people in entertainment, probably, but I can control how many lives I take with my meals. So that's important too.
Yeah.
Have you heard the argument that veganism is the New World Order diet because eating plants actually
Agenda
kills
23.
more? Yeah, and it actually kills more animals, so therefore it is the more satanic one world government Bill Gates diet.
You know what? Can we just play that Larkin Rose video? Because I think that fits in great, like right here.
Yeah, I agree. Here, let me see.
By the way, hello, Jeffrey, if you can hear me out there.
I can hear you.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Curious.
What up, bro?
What's up, dude?
Good old vegan dishonesty. Come on, internets. Keep it together.
Can tell you were watching it recently.
Yeah, it's funny. I opened it up earlier today and I was all part way through that video recently. Let me add Jeffrey.
Most of the people who complain about this video.
Sorry, could I just butt in real quick? And I'll try.
I might not be able to handle watching this.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll try not to chime in too much, because if you scroll down and look at the comments section, I want to kind of show you something. I don't know if you already saw this or not.
Oh, let me see.
I bet there's some good comments down there.
Yeah, so let's see, probably scroll down a little bit more, maybe. Let's see where it is. Let's see, because I know that it doesn't give you the real feed. It just gives you what it thinks that you want to see. Oh man, I wonder if my comment was shadow banned. Ah, man.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I wonder if he actually, because I can see it on my end, but I had like it time-stamped and everything with a ton of comments. So I just wanted to see.
Was it recent?
I mean, recent is a relative term. This is a pretty old video.
Oh,
so.
hey, I commented 3 weeks ago. I don't even remember doing that.
Read it to me. I can't see from here. Was this?
I said, your argument against extending the non-aggression principles to non-human animals is flawed. Would we not use force against a human in defense? We would, as we would on an animal.
Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned that too. Yeah, I wonder if my comment isn't even there at all. I must have. Yeah, I mean, Larkin and I lived in the same city. I was hoping to meet him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a friend of mine is friends with him. I was trying to see if I could end up meeting him, but yeah, I wonder if he shadow banned my comment.
The most social guy, but I do not know.
Yeah, definitely
not. Okay, I'm gonna get lost in the comments. I'm gonna get lost in the sauce here. All right, here we go.
Hey, Larkin Rose here. I'm going to make a prediction, which is that most of the people who complain about this video or comment below negatively are going to do one of two things. Either they're going to complain about something before watching the whole video, something I later cover in the video, or they're going to complain about something I didn't say and didn't imply and don't believe. So don't do either one. Watch the whole video before you respond. And if you're going to complain about what I actually said instead of whatever you imagined I might have meant, because I say what I mean, and I'm rather clear about that.
I already can't deal.
This video is about the fact that a lot of vegans, especially vocal militant vegans, are irrational and dishonest in their message. Now, I want to start off by saying there are a couple things about their agenda that I very much like and I very much approve of. I like it when human beings extend their compassion and their empathy even to other species. I think that's a very good sign. I think when people don't do that, it's scary. When they're completely callous and heartless to the suffering of other species, that's creepy. And when they all the way enjoy it in some sadistic way, that's beyond creepy. So that's outstanding. And when people want to reduce suffering even in other species, again, outstanding, great. This video is not about complaining about that stuff. This video is complaining about the fact that a lot of vegans, I would say a majority that I debate with online, are not honest about what they believe. So most of this video isn't even going to be about their beliefs versus my beliefs. It's their beliefs versus their own beliefs. They say things, they make assertions that they themselves don't believe, but they're acting on emotion and feels, and they're saying things for shock value that just aren't true, and they know they aren't true. And that's, first of all, telling a lie isn't helpful to begin with, and it definitely isn't helpful if you want to spread your message and convince other people. I'm going to start with the example of meat is murder, a popular saying among some vegans. Meat is not murder. Look up the word murder. The word murder means a human being killing a human being in certain situations.
Actually, the
now, you
definition.
can say, well, that's semantics. It's what words mean. Don't use words to mean what they don't mean. Now, if what you mean is meat is just as bad as murder, then say that. However, that doesn't exactly make sense either. Meat is a substance. For example, if you're walking along and you get run over by a car and you're dead by the side of the road, technically you're a pile of meat. Are you murder? No. Meat is a noun. Murder is a verb. Why would you say something like that? I'll tell you why you would say something, because it's shocking and it gets people's attention. It's also ridiculous. If you get run over and you're lying by the side of the road and some psycho cannibal comes along and eats you, did he murder you? Nope.
I think I want to play Carnage Bingo with this because this is great.
That's pretty creepy, but it's still not murder.
Didn't he call me delusional recently, babe?
It was like, oh, delusional flat earther, like some, like it was a lot of little.
I don't think it had to do with that. Because it was a vegan. It was a vegan post Padini made. Oh no! It was when I never mind. But yeah, he called me delusional.
Is this Lubas? Who's this guy?
Basically.
Is it Lubas? Isn't Lubas the one who fucking eats like skunks and rodents off the side of the road and shit.
Austin, I'm meeting O'Shea right now. What? Anything I should know about him before?
Oh, fucking good luck.
Oh no.
What does that mean?
Yeah. He stayed at my place for 2 days. I don't have anything against the guy, but you're gonna find out for yourself, man. He's a trip. He's a trip.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, on camera he's something else, but fucking yeah, good luck. That's all I can say, man. I got nothing against you, O'Shea. Good luck, guys.
We're all very different than we seem like on the internet.
Yep.
That's kind of how it goes, though.
Am I Satan since I have this red light on? It makes sense. Doesn't Marty call me Satan?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
I'm trying to send you the screenshot of all the points that I made, but it's very long and all like very respectful, but all the timestamps and everything in it. I don't know why. Like I'm trying to send it to you on Instagram, and it looks like crap whenever I'm like screenshotting and sending it. So I'm not bothering. But I'm gonna do Carnus Bingo though. So we have one random ad hominem. I don't know any like person that says meat is murder that actually is trying to say meat is murder. Like that's a random ad hominem that doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you know a single vegan that actually thinks that like in a literal sense, meat is murder? Like,
well, that's the equivalent of like people saying like, oh, you just like most vegans, all vegans, they see no difference between a human and an animal. Like, okay,
right.
like
Yeah,
most
it's a random ad hominem.
99.9% of vegans, if they have their car was going down the road and they had to hit a human or a squirrel, they're gonna run over the squirrel. Yeah, it's the same level.
Yeah, so I'm going to check off random ad hominem attack right there. Let's go ahead and keep going.
And then just real quick, I like how it's interesting in this murder argument, he's like talking about like if you eat a person, like it's like that's not the meat industry isn't eating roadkill. Never mind. I'm just
right. Yeah, exactly.
Fact, murder. So meat is murder is a fine example of something that is just plain not true at all, and people use it for shock value.
Like,
here's one
yeah,
that I see
it's marketing, dude.
Number
like,
of anarchists saying, which is carnism is a religion. First of all, carnism isn't anything. To try to make it an ism is already dishonest. Eating meat is something that Homo sapiens have done for thousands of years. Now, time out.
Appeal to tradition
First
fallacy.
straw man to not throw at me is, are you saying that just because people have done it for thousands of years, it's okay? No, I'm not. Don't argue that. That's BS. I'm saying that it's not a religion. It's not a belief system. The ism thing is about a philosophy or a belief system. Eating meat is just what Homo sapiens have done for thousands of years all over the world. And to pretend that's a religion to make it sound shocking and whatever, it's just stupid. It's not a religion. It's not a belief system. It's not a philosophy. It's just something people have done for a long time, whether it's right or wrong. It's like saying, oh, you're a shoeist because you're one of those people who wears shoes. That doesn't make it a philosophy.
Oh my God.
Thing that people do. On the other hand,
it's just word salad.
An ism, because it's people saying, well, we believe it's wrong to treat animals this way. It's a belief system. That actually deserves an ism. Carnism is stupid. It's a stupid phrase that doesn't mean anything. And to pretend
yeah, I wish we didn't need to use it.
When it's just people doing a thing they've done for ages.
And I haven't heard a single vegan say carnism is a religion.
Trying to make it sound sensational to get people's attention and being dishonest in the process. And I hear a bunch of people saying, you're not really an anarchist if you're not a vegan. Again, utter BS. Regardless of whether killing animals is right or wrong, that is patently false. Anarchism is a concept dealing with people and political philosophy or anti-political philosophy.
Can you pause for a second?
People and ruling each other. It has nothing to do with whether you swat a mosquito.
So it's like, show me one definition of the non-aggression principle that says humans, like only humans. It says beings and life, and like, when does it say? It's the same thing with the golden rule. You know what I mean? Because I asked people about their moral code. You know, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, and like all religions teach the same fucking thing. They all teach that same thing. And then you just point that out and they're like, oh, but that doesn't apply to animals. It's like, where does it say that thou shalt not kill unless they look like you, unless they have feathers and scales and claws and, like sharp teeth? Like, where does it say that? Same thing with the non-aggression principle.
Important central principle be only apply. You know what I mean? Like, why would it not apply to extend to as much of your life as possible?
As possible and practicable. Right? Yeah. It's like, yeah.
But why do other animals kill other animals? If that's the same, we're going off the same principle. The same principle. If we are an animal, we shouldn't kill animals.
First of all, a minority of animals eat other animals. We're talking about like 12%. Okay. Most of them eat plants. You can look it up. I might have the number wrong. But a minority do, and they have to. They're obligate carnivores. We're not.
What if we have to?
They aren't smart enough not to.
I'm literally living proof that we don't have to. You're talking to, I believe, 3 people, right? Aren't all 3 of us vegan?
No, I've talked to Jeffrey about this shit before.
Well, I haven't eaten animals. Guess how long I haven't eaten animals?
12 years.
Just take a guess.
18 years. I don't fucking know how old you are.
22 years I haven't eaten animals, and about 12 of those years has been vegan. So I haven't died yet, just saying. So.
And you couldn't guess his age. Tells you something.
I'm almost 40.
Okay.
Vegan. Magic.
We're better in bed too, just saying.
Blood flow. I mean, yeah, the whole nutrition aspect's a whole nother. We'll have to dive into that. All right, let's go back to Larkin though.
About people governing people and ruling each other. It has nothing to do with whether you swat a mosquito. Anarchism is unrelated to how you treat other animals. It's a political concept. To say you're not really an anarchist, that's silly. It's stupid. You don't know what the words mean. Now, if you want to say you're inconsistent, you're morally inconsistent if you treat human beings this way, but you kill and eat cows or something, you can make that argument. But notice here, most of my complaint isn't even about their argument. It's about the fact that they're dishonest about their argument. Say what you actually mean. Don't use this dishonest shock value BS that makes your position sound extreme and stupid and dishonest. So, and we're going to get to the thing about killing in a moment, but to say you're not really an anarchist if you're not a vegan, that's just stupid. It's just downright stupid. It means you don't understand concepts and words. Now, a big thing a lot of people say, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but some vocal people say is you have to apply the non-aggression principle to every other species, not just people, or you're a hypocrite. Again, they're just wrong about this. And I don't just mean their moral assessment is wrong. I mean, conceptually and philosophically, they're being dishonest. They don't even believe what they're saying. And it doesn't make sense either. For example, the non-aggression
You hear that? You don't believe what you're saying when you say it.
All right, picture here's a map with a whole bunch of people on it. The principle is that none of these people should commit aggression against any of the other people at any time in any situation. That's not okay. That's what the non-aggression principle dictates.
Can you pause there?
This is a rule of morality that applies.
Yeah, so this is about to be a straw man of what the definition of veganism is. Is the definition of veganism to never cause harm to anyone, any being ever, period, including self-defense?
And is that just a slippery slope into, oh, some animals might get killed, therefore we just must kill and eat all of the animals? Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, Nirvana fallacy.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other people at any time in any situation, that's not okay. That's what the non-aggression principle dictates. It's like this is a rule of morality that applies to everybody all the time. It's a principle. It's an overlying thing that applies everywhere. Well, okay, what happens if we expand that to all the other species? It immediately doesn't make any sense. Because for starters, all right, I'm out in nature and I see a coyote chasing a mouse around to eat it. all right, the coyote is committing aggression against the mouse. That poor innocent mouse didn't commit force or fraud, and yet the coyote is trying to eat it. Is that immoral? No, it's not. Because the non-aggression principle doesn't include animals.
It is a rights
And
violation.
you can say, well, no, it's only binding on people because animals are doing animal
Yep,
things.
he just
Well,
got
then
another
don't
point on
pretend
the
non-aggression
Carnus bingo.
principle applies to all species.
He just
What
got
was it? I
another
missed
one.
it.
Oh, no, I'm just marking these down. The first one he got was a random ad hominem attack, and now he's got animals eat other animals, though. So
Yes.
just adding
Okay.
these up. He's only 2
Yeah.
more points away from getting a bingo already.
Appealing to nature.
That? I'm wondering if that's a separate
Yeah.
one or if that's what he's doing
That
there.
would be like
But yeah,
to
that
say,
is an
oh,
appeal
it's
to
okay for
nature
humans to eat
fallacy.
meat because it's just it's a natural it's a natural food, right?
Right.
Or it's a natural
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look at it.
That's not a principle. It's a one-way directional statement about how you wish people would treat animals. Be clear in your own head. Now, since we're going down that route, what should be done? And I made a post about this a while ago, and it got rather interesting. What should be done if I'm there and there's a coyote chasing a mouse around a field? Do I have the right to forcibly intervene? And should I, to save the poor innocent mouse who did nothing wrong? I don't think I should. And most of the vegans who commented said, no, I don't think you should interfere. Well, I should just stand there and let that thing kill that thing without.
I mean, some would,
I would.
right? Like,
Moral
Yeah, sorry, I was
justification.
looking up something. I was trying
Why
to
is
find
it
that
not okay
percentage,
for
so I
me to
missed his point.
Am I a bad person?
What was his argument?
Am I a bad person for eating meat? Whether I know it's right or whether I know it's moral or immoral, does that make me a bad person?
That is too black and white, dude.
Yeah, I'd say that you're just as bad as of a person as I used to be when I ate animals. Just like I told you earlier, like I don't necessarily think you're a bad person, but you're doing a bad thing. You know, you said you don't agree with the whole gray thing, and I do.
But when I say the word bad, it goes down to the intention. So I'm not intentionally being evil or good.
I don't know about that. Like a person can slap a child and not intend to break their tooth, but they end up breaking their tooth. Does that mean that they weren't a bad person because they didn't intend to break their tooth?
But you intended on doing physical harm on the child.
But you didn't intend to break their tooth. A bad person would break their tooth.
But that's a result of the evil intended action. That's
Right.
just a result of the action. So okay.
But if it's just as easy to create a different result by just moving your hand a couple inches in the grocery store, but you choose not to.
So kill the plant. Kill the living plant.
Sure.
Because
why not?
The living plant is more important than the living animal.
Okay, so we're playing Carnus Bingo, and I was just going to do it against Larkin, but I kind of almost feel like, because you just scored another point on the Carnus Bingo card.
Thank you, man.
but it's good that it came up though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does come up with him as well. It wouldn't surprise me if he does the plants feel pain thing too. But yeah, if you can present scientific evidence, okay, and the only thing that can debunk science is better science. If you could present scientific evidence that plants feel the same way that animals do, then I will agree with you. Go ahead and find that evidence for me.
Mythbusters did that shit.
Yeah, and they found that they don't feel pain. They found that they're stimulated.
Where they lit the fire in the room and the plants had feeling, and
they're stimulated by vibration. There's a reaction, but just like hair can get bleached under the sun. That's a chemical reaction. Does that mean that hair can feel pain?
Possibly.
Come on, man. You don't really believe that, do you?
But how can you say it can't? How can you say
it can't? And even if it could, let's say the plants do feel pain. Let's say that they do. Okay, we're going to grant that. Okay.
All right.
Who do you think kills more plants, you or me?
Fucking you, both of us. I don't know, man. Fucking.
Well, you eat animals. What do you think that the animals that you eat? Like, what do they consume? They don't just eat air, right?
I'm times two. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So I got you because they.
Yeah. So you're killing more plants than I am. Exactly.
Right.
There you
So
go.
I'm just a bad person. Fucking shoot me. Fucking shoot me. Fuck.
No, see, that's the thing. That's why I was really offended by the vegan in my like typing class. This is how long ago it was. My typing class. She sat in front of me, and I felt like she was just like a smug bitch. Like I couldn't stand her and I didn't know why I didn't like her. I honestly had no idea why I didn't like her. You know, like honestly, I think I had a crush on her, to be honest. Like she was dating this like older guy in college and shit, and here I am like trying to flirt with her, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with me. But like she heard me talking to the person next to me. I'm like, man, you know, I'm indigenous. I care about animals, and you know, like we should all recycle because the environment, though. And she turns around and she's like, wait a minute, you say you're an animal lover and environmentalist, aren't you? And I was like, well, yeah, aren't you? And she's like, yeah, I am, but I don't eat animals. Do you? I was like, fuck yeah, I do, because bacon, that shit slaps. You know what I mean? And like the animal's dead already. You know, we might as well eat it. And like I don't want to eat. You know, broccoli's disgusting. Like I said a bunch of stupid stuff. And she's like, I don't know. I don't think that you can be an animal lover and an environmentalist and also eat animals. I'm like, of course you can. And she's like, I don't know. You might want to look into that. I just spun around and I'm like, fucking vegan. I was so pissed. Fucking vegan. Here I am at like 17 years old or whatever. And I had it in my head. I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove her wrong. I'm going to go to the library. This is how long ago it was, had actual books. So you have to like actually look in these books and photocopy them. And I was like, I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to find all this evidence that you can be an animal lover and eat animals. You can be an environmentalist and eat animals. And I'm going to drop it on the desk. I saw it in my head, you know, like the light streaming over my shoulder and me towering over her. I'm here to save her. You know, it was probably like a white knight complex or something. I'm going to drop this evidence on her desk and be like, see, you're in a cult. You're in a cult, Sam. You're in a cult. You need to get out of the cult. I'm going to change her life. She's going to, I don't know, she's going to get on her knees. I don't know what the hell I thought she was going to do, right? Yeah, no, I found the exact opposite. I was like, holy shit, you can't. She's right. And I tucked my tail in between my legs for the next few years and didn't say shit about it. I eventually went vegetarian, and I was in the closet about being vegetarian for like 4 or 5 years, because back then you say that you're a vegetarian and you're presumed to have a penis. They assume that you're gay or something, and then you get harassed and beat. So I was in the closet about being a vegetarian for a long time.
I assume that wasn't in California then.
This was in California, but it was in a small town in California. I lived in South Lake Tahoe, California. So little tourist town.
I was militant vegan in the 90s.
Really?
I didn't
Nice.
give a fuck. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, actually, I think this. So I went to Middleborough High School. So this was in Massachusetts, a little town in Massachusetts. I was born in Lake Tahoe. But yeah.
Tahoe's nice. Reno's cool. I knew a lot of people in Reno.
Oh yeah. I love Reno.
Yeah.
I live in Sacramento, so I go to Reno quite often. Tahoe, you know.
Nice. I'm in Vegas now, so I'm not too far away.
Rob Cleveland.
Nice. Sorry to interrupt.
No, man, we're just talking.
Oh, all good.
Larkin.
I'm loving these pauses. Sorry, I was just taking it in for a second.
Yeah,
All right.
right. We should get a still of that for your card for the video.
Oh yeah, for the thumbnail.
Yeah, right, for the thumbnail. That's a great
Put
one.
some like vegetables in the background behind him, and he's like just mad,
Yeah.
like ah!
Yeah. Larkin plays Carnus Bingo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll have to remember that.
That thing without moral justification, why is it not okay for me to forcibly defend it? And a lot of you actually said it's wrong if I intervene and stop, because then I'm the aggressor. Wait, he's trying to kill the mouse. Because they don't apply morality the same to all species, and they shouldn't, and neither do I, and nobody does. But to pretend that, well, we're going to put this principle on all the species, it's not a principle. It doesn't go both ways. It doesn't relate between other species. If what you mean is, I don't think people should commit aggression against people or other animals, then say that, if that's what you mean. But don't try to wedge it into this concept that doesn't make any logical sense. Now, when it comes to treatment of animals, one of the biggest things that vegans are dishonest about so often, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, and a number of them, is the notion that I respect all life. I think every species owns itself and has the right not to be blah, 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 and have the right not to be blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. That is a lie.
So there's that straw man that I was talking about.
I mean, nobody values all life the same, even just all sentient life. If you're going to, for some reason,
but no vegan says that. So random ad hominem.
But we're going to draw the line there, and that kind
Allie and I just did a debate with this guy, and the dude just straw manned us the whole time.
Yeah,
like our opening statement, we talked about crop deaths and the exact numbers from like the highest caliber studies, and he started his opening statement with, "Vegans don't like talking about crop deaths. They don't like admitting it." Like, and we were like, "But we just did." Like,
yeah,
he just straw manned us the whole time, and then claimed he won the debate because he destroyed so many.
It's like the pigeon playing chess, right?
He's like, "You're a vegan, therefore anything any vegan has ever said, you're responsible for that." And I'm going to defend any stupid thing I've ever heard about veganism. That means I beat you because you're the vegan. And I was just like, damn, dude, the first words out of your mouth were like, it was just nonstop fallacy fest. And then this guy and his people like prance around at the end and act like they won. It was pretty funny. And they've been making fun of me because Allie was there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So for anyone that's curious that doesn't know this, so there's actually a definition of veganism, and the first ones to coin it back in the 70s and like kind of like make it, make it more mainstream, because veganism has been around since the Egyptians. So I'm not saying that this is new necessarily, but the Vegan Society was the ones that coined it. There's an actual definition of it, and it is not a diet, and it is not about never causing any harm ever, period. Like, that is not the definition in any way, shape, and or form. So.
Yep.
That's why I had to. I've done that Padini video. I just had to explain that to him for 3 hours. He just didn't understand that there was an actual definition, and when he uses the word vegan, he's using it incorrectly. And
plant-based is usually the word that most meat eaters mean when they're talking about vegans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just dropped in the chat for those that are here the actual definition of it, so that people can see it's not a fucking diet. It's a philosophical and way of living which seeks to exclude as far as is practicable and possible. This is super important, that part right there. All forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food is one of them, clothing, and any other purpose. By extension, promotes the development and the use of animal-free alternatives for the benefit of animals, humans, and the environment. And then it does go into, in dietary terms, it denotes a practice of dispensing with all products derived wholly or partially from animals. So again, it starts with philosophy and way of living. It is not a diet. And it's as far as is practicable and possible. So Larkin right now is making a very bad straw man, assuming that all vegans will never hurt a fly ever, period, or something. And
I was around when Larkin made this video. I was definitely one of the vegans that was always arguing with him.
Nice.
And when it came out, he immediately was correct. Like, there was, and it was like at the peak of when the vegan, all those documentaries came out like several years ago, and like everyone went vegan, and like he was completely overwhelmed with people correcting him on that. Yet the video's still up. It's just, he's been corrected so many times by so many thousands of vegans because of this video.
It's so sad. It like broke my heart when I saw this.
It's so bad. No, I remember I was disappointed. I was really disappointed when he put this up, because I was like, wow, dude, like, wow.
That's why you said you couldn't sit through it all, right?
No, I remember it being a lot worse, I think, for some reason. But it's not bothering me as much because I think maybe I'm just better. I'm more, rhetorically, like, I'm better now. And so like I see way more of his BS now where I maybe didn't before. I was trying to understand what he was saying before, and I didn't get, and it was just like, now it's just like, oh man, everything he's saying is just nonsense.
Right.
Word salad and fallacies.
Yeah, Exiled One says, not really my kind of panel, sorry, but I'm a guy that trolls the trolls, and I don't really see you guys with that kind of issue, but I'm curious about the channel is about veganism. So as far as trolls go, I just want to say this, right? If you want to be the most effective troll ever, period, you have to go vegan. Because like, how else can you just like enter a room and not say a single thing and you immediately trigger an entire room of people? We are professional trolls.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a troll and you're proud about that, I'm just saying level the fuck up and go vegan. Because
and then be a cyclist too. And then be really into cryptocurrency also.
Right?
All those things together, people just can't deal.
And be an anarchist.
And then I was just gonna say, and you gotta have the.
You have to.
Just become everything you want to hate or troll. Become that, and then you'll be the best troll. Right? Become that.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with me. Because like, I really hated the notion of anarchy. I hated the notion of veganism. I hated the notion of poly people, kinky people. Like, I had a hard time with it. And then the more I looked into it, I'm like, actually, this is just a logical extension of everything that people have said, is to not be codependent and to be peaceful. And if you want to be actually morally consistent, you just have to be a feminist, and you have to be an anarchist, and you have to be a vegan. You kind of have to be. Otherwise, you're just morally inconsistent, in my biased shaded opinion.
Yep.
And there, including the what are they called, Jainists, who pretend we're never going to harm another human, another living organism. Yes, you are. You can't help it. Maybe you didn't know that a few hundred years ago, if you couldn't see things small enough or didn't understand what was going on. Here's the dead giveaway that none of the vegans who say, I think every animal owns itself just as much as I do, and every animal has an equal right to live, and every blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. No, you don't. And no, you don't. And I can freaking prove it. If you're driving down the road and there's a dog, I'm going to keep people out of this example, and there's a dog in one lane and there's an ant in the other lane, and you have to run one of them over, I bet you're going to run the ant over because you care less about the ant. You value the ant's life less than the dog's life.
Agreed. Duh.
That's helping us.
No vegan disagrees.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is,
oh, he was saying Jainists or something.
Yeah, he was talking about Jainism. Yeah.
Oh, that's something else.
All I gotta say is, man, whoever that vegan is, they can see the ant at the same time as seeing the dog crossing the road. Shit, I want those carrots, because damn, those are some great eyes right there.
It's a lot of beta carotene.
Vegan superpowers.
I mean, I'll even bring humans and animals into this. A dog versus a baby on the side of a cliff, and it's my baby versus my neighbor's dog or something. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the fucking child. Like, I'm sorry, and maybe I'm crazy here, but I'm assuming all vegans would say the same fucking thing.
Absolutely, 99.999%. Perhaps, like you said, there's the one crazy, who's just like doesn't feel empathy for humans, perhaps, but
or doesn't even understand veganism, because like it's not that we don't see a difference between human animals and non-human animals. It's that we see all the similarities. And if we can avoid causing harm, we'll avoid causing harm. And if we have to cause harm, we'll try and cause the least amount of harm possible. One ant versus one dog, arguably invertebrates, like suffer at a different rate or in a different way than a dog does. Or we at least empathize with it differently, because a dog is going to whimper and a bug just squashes, But I don't know a single vegan that wouldn't say something very similar to that. So like, it's not that we don't see species, it's that we choose to see the similarities, not the differences.
Right. Yeah. We know what, like you said, a dog squeals. We know what pain and suffering expressed in animals, we can empathize with it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's like another random ad hominem that like, I've never heard a vegan like say that any of this stuff. It's weird.
I have a question for I don't even know your name, man. What's your name?
Zen. Are you talking to me? I presume.
Yeah. Do you believe in abortion?
Yeah. So the abortion thing, I believe that I don't have an ovaries, so I don't have an opinion on this topic. It really depends on the person with the ovary and the person that inserted the sperm.
Does the baby in the womb, the unborn baby in the womb, feel as much pain as a human that's already born?
How old is it?
It's an unborn baby. It's 6 months old.
I would no. It doesn't feel as much as a born baby. No.
What,
And it certainly
what differentiates the feeling of the baby in the womb and the baby outside of the womb?
The nervous system.
Mm.
Yep. Like we all have a nervous system, and so I looked into this extensively. It's about 4 weeks. At about 4 weeks is whenever you could.
That's when the nervous system is created at 4 weeks.
No, at about that time, you can say arguably that the child is sentient.
So where's the line? Where's the line?
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks is whenever they have some sort of a developed nervous system and like enough nerve endings to argue that they have some base level of sentience. Like maybe, like arguably more than a plant, but not as much as a grown child. Like, because everything develops.
And so before 4 weeks, they don't feel as much pain. So
they can't feel pain. They're incapable of feeling pain because they literally don't have a brain.
So when is it okay to kill them and not kill them? At 4 weeks, when the nervous system.
So again, like I don't have an ovary, so it's a hypothetical.
I know we just went from this to that,
right?
But there's a connection.
Yeah.
There's a connection.
Kind of. The answer is sentience. The answer is sentience. If a being is sentient and you can avoid causing suffering to them, then you ought to avoid causing suffering to them. If you can't avoid causing suffering to them, well, then they're going to suffer. Like it's that simple. So it really depends on the economic status of the individuals involved. It depends on the health of the individuals involved. It depends on the politics in the region where the people are born. There's too many external factors to just say, when should you kill a baby? Like it's not that simple. The answer is not that simple.
We're in that gray area again.
I think it's way more simple than it is complex. I don't believe in that gray area. I don't. Sorry, Ali. And
that's fine. All I can say is the only thing that can debunk science is better science. The best science that I've seen on this topic is 4 weeks.
I mean, yeah.
But you're welcome to prove me wrong.
At conception, it's life. Once you take that life, it's death.
You know what's interesting because
it's death. I mean, yeah. What's interesting is I eat animals, and you're going to go into that. No. Actually, I was going to talk about the Bible. So a lot of people that say like a child is sentient whenever they breathe life. It's interesting because that's what the Bible says. The Bible, for those I'm not sure if you're taking a religious stance or not, so I apologize if I'm straw manning your argument here. But for those that use this argument about like life and the moment of conception or whatever, it doesn't say the moment of penetration or the moment of conception. It says breath of life. It talks about breath all the time. It talks about breath. It talks about breath in the Bible constantly. Like the word breath, you could probably, I've done it a million times. You could just go online and say, you can find like word calculator in the Bible or something. And you can just search for the word breath and you'll find how many times it mentions breath. But that's the thing. A child has to, pop out of the womb before it takes its first breath. So even by religious people's logic, that means that the child isn't sentient until it's actually comes out of the vagina. Yeah. So it's dead before it comes out.
No, I don't think anyone would say it's dead.
So if it doesn't get life before it gets breath, then you're saying it's dead before it's alive.
No, I'm saying that their argument is that it's, the religious argument is that it's not like it doesn't have a soul. That's what they're talking about. It doesn't have a soul until it takes its first breath. It can't take a breath inside the womb because it's literally floating in fluids. So my argument is it's not my pony, it's not my race. I'm vegan and I don't ride ponies. That's my perspective. So it depends on the womb haver should say the most in the fate of that child. That's my opinion.
I've never heard that as far as the whole idea of the breath of life, as far as at least going off the Bible, but that's really good food for thought.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I think never mind. I'm gonna get way too deep into this shit. I think
5 minutes left.
I think air to us is like water to fish. I think we are basically fish, and the air around us is like water. But that's a whole nother fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's
Did
like,
you say we have 5 minutes left?
oh shit.
5 minutes before we hit 2 hours.
Oh, okay. What happens
We're
then?
cutting it off at 2. I didn't realize that went by really quick.
Yeah, it did. Any chance we could move on to the other video? Because I think we'll have definitely a lively conversation about that one too. And Austin, I want to say, like, I applaud your bravery, because I know that, like, it might feel a little bit like we're ganging up on you because there's 3 anarchist veganists here, and you're presenting the alternative perspective. So I just want to say I appreciate that.
Right on. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I can't even remember what the other video that we were talking a little bit about.
I'm not here to be right. I'm here to learn.
I appreciate that. I know we all have our own biases, and I know I have mine too. So,
yep.
This was the one, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
If you've spent some time in activist or feminist spaces, you've probably come across the term SWERF. It stands for Sex Work Exclusionary Radical Feminism, or feminist, depending on the usage. And it's a really shitty ideology. If you've seen my video on TERFism, aka Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminism, this is probably a familiar concept. Just like with TERFs, who are a subset of feminists who hate women because they're trans, SWERFs are a subset of feminists who hate women because they're sex workers. Either way, they hate women, which is kind of the definition of misogyny. And yet, they both call themselves feminists somehow. Okay, sure. But anyway, SWERF ideology stems from this idea that sex work is inherently bad, and that it's a tool of the patriarchy, and anyone who does sex work is contributing to their own patriarchal oppression. They've basically taken the kind of general anti-sex work ideas that exist out there in the world and applied the most shallow, surface-level feminist analysis to it that they possibly could. Because really, it's saddening to see how much everyday people hate sex workers. Jokes about dead prostitutes aren't uncommon in movies and TV shows, and people often use words like whore or hooker or prostitute as insults to put women down. But SWERFs have just taken this kind of generic misogyny against sex workers and justified it using their own twisted logic. As far as I can tell from everything I've seen from SWERFs, they consider human trafficking and sex work to be the same thing. They conflate these two completely different things, and that's why they consider sex work to be inherently bad. But conflating these two things requires you to lack any sort of intersectional feminist analysis. It's easily the status quo. FOSTA SESTA was just recently passed in the US because lawmakers think human trafficking and sex work are the same thing, and it will end up hurting both trafficking victims and sex workers. So let's be clear, when I defend sex work and the women who choose to take part in sex work, I'm not defending human trafficking. No one is. As much as SWERFs may like to conflate the two, they're fundamentally different. Trafficking victims are forced to perform commercial sex acts under duress. Sex workers choose to exchange sexual acts for money without any duress. It's a really simple difference. The way that SWERFs muddy this, though, is by saying that all sex workers are actually under duress. They say that sex workers are only doing sex work to get money because otherwise they wouldn't have money and could end up homeless and living in poverty. SWERFs argue that sex workers can't genuinely enjoy their job because nobody could really enjoy that kind of work or want to do it if they weren't under duress. There are 2 parts to this. The first is that technically under capitalism, we're all kind of under duress regardless of our job. You have to work to make money to have shelter and food. This forces people to work all kinds of jobs they don't want to work. Some people have shitty office jobs they don't want or enjoy. Some people have to clean stuff all day that's exhausting and painful. Some people have to work in Amazon warehouses where they pee in bottles to avoid losing their job. And some people have to work in coal mines doing extremely strenuous labor under unsafe conditions. There are so many jobs that people do that they probably really wouldn't want to do if their life didn't depend on it. Sex work is just another one of those jobs. Sex workers don't sell their bodies any more than coal miners or warehouse workers do. And look, there's a whole discussion to be had here around capitalism forcing us to be productive 24/7, and I do think there could be a better system where people are just given housing and food and water and are allowed to work on things they actually want to, or at least allowed to work less and in safer conditions. But right now, this is the system we're in. Through this lens, everyone is under the duress of poverty. Human trafficking adds another layer of duress where people don't choose to be trafficked and can't leave because their traffickers won't let them. That's why trafficking is different than sex work or any other work, because being trafficked is not a job. Sex work, desk jobs, coal mining jobs, these are all jobs that people choose to be in, even if capitalism is making them choose some kind of job. So yeah, there are probably people doing sex work who don't particularly like it, just like there are people in other professions who don't like their career at all. That's the nature of capitalism for all of us, not just sex workers. But part 2 of this
Okay, I want to pause it there because there was a lot said there, a lot to unpack. But I like that idea, and I totally that resonates with me. That whole idea of looping together or separating sex work and sex trafficking, because absolutely it's a smear, really. Yeah, an absolute smear. And hello, Liza.
Welcome.
Hello. I'm just listening like I have to agree with this. I don't know if it was a lady or a man. I was informed that it's a transgender. I'm not sure. I don't know. I just popped in. But this person.
Are you referring to me? I'm gender fluid, or do you mean the person on YouTube right now? I'm not sure their pronouns, but
right. You know, the
being on YouTube.
Yes, the person that was with the glasses that we are watching their clip and their opinions. And I can't see anybody up here because we all super small. I'm on my phone. We all super tiny right now. But what they were saying, I have to agree a lot with. I mean, I have girlfriends that are sex workers. I have girlfriends that are exotic dancers. I have girlfriends that are, you know, what one would consider an escort, even though I can go into debate about that, but what one would consider the idea behind an escort. And they love their jobs. The fuck?
Like, yep.
Do they love their lives?
Yeah, they love their lives.
They're happy, content.
Yeah. 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 So Austin, the best example of this that I heard.
I'm not arguing. I'm just asking. You don't have to come.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh no, I don't feel like you're being aggressive or arguing or anything like that. But what you said does remind me of a story that I heard from a sex worker, a scarlet collar worker, is that she said, like, when she compared how many times she's being like sexually harassed now that she's a scarlet collar worker, now that she's a sex worker, versus how many times she was sexually harassed working at a bar, like, they're radically different. She's treated with so much more respect, and she's so much happier as a scarlet collar worker than working at a bar because of just how much she was sexually assaulted and touched and like physically violated.
It's not just that. It's one of those, here's what people don't take into consideration. It takes a very powerful person to be in a type of industry like that. This is already one that is already shunned, that is already laced with ridicule, that is already laced with shame, that is already laced with, you know, judgment from the outside looking in. And that's before you even go there to fill out an application, because yes, you still have to fill out an application. This is before you even do that. So if you already have the understanding that this is what's going to happen, and these are potentially how you are going to be looked at and how people are going to respond to you, when you work in an establishment like these, you build a lot of power, you build a lot of grace, you build a community amongst those who understand, those who can relate. And you build a bonding like none other, because that is something that not a lot of people honestly have the balls to do. On top of the fact that you also have to understand that all these people that are ridiculing you, that's because they secretly want to do what the fuck you doing. They just don't want to deal with
the balls to do. Wait, the balls to do what?
To do any kind of sex work, regardless of whether that is an adult film star, regardless of whether
the balls to be a trashy whore. Is that what you said?
That would be your opinion and throwing that label on that, but that's kind of the whole idea here, is that
no, I don't do labels. I don't do labels. I'm just speaking definitions, words and definitions.
Okay. Both know that's not the definition, but let me go ahead and give it to you like this. It's very interesting how you go ahead and
you to give me anything. You're clearly misunderstood. You clearly have daddy issues.
Respond to what you said, Austin.
I said so you're saying that people who want to be easy, trashy whores and sell themselves, sell their bodies, and have no morals about themselves. You're saying that we should give those kind of low life people respect because they didn't have fathers and they're looking for a father to cling on to. Is that what you're saying?
So none of those were objective statements, but sorry, go ahead.
See, I see through all of this. Okay, go ahead. Let's go. I'm listening. Hey, I hear Satan all day. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so obviously he's already triggered. You must be one of the guys that honestly want to pay for dollars and stuff.
I just understand good from evil.
Right. Okay, sure. We're gonna go ahead and go along with that then. You can think whatever it is you want to think.
No, this is not an opinion. This is what's known. This is a knowing, not this is not an opinion based.
So
I understand good from evil.
Sir, we
it's
like
okay.
definition.
Hey, and this is coming from somebody who slept with hundreds of women. Okay.
So Austin, I want to point something out.
I am no fucking saint. I am no saint. I am no saint. I am no saint. I am not putting myself on the.
All right, Austin. Let's respond to what you've said a lot. Let's we gotta let people respond here.
Respond.
All right.
My first response
sounds like somebody forgot that the son of the father walked with the prostitute and was very.
Yeah. Let's normalize wrongdoing.
Okay, can I sit there, sir? Okay, you're adult, right? Can I ask you to exercise your restraint so that someone else can give an opinion? You've given yours,
you can ask me anything you want.
Obviously not. So, I will ask the host whenever someone else begins to chime in. Would we mind muting so somebody else can go ahead and finish their thought?
I just want to point out something, Austin. So the whores and the trashy people that you just mentioned, you're literally talking about likely your sisters, your cousins, your mothers, your
I'm talking about myself.
That's fine. I think that's a separate hate. I think that's a separate hate.
No, because
the hate that you spewed out earlier.
You can only understand another person if you've experienced it yourself. So I have been a whore.
Okay, well, I hope you find a little self-love and you forgive yourself for being consensual with other adults.
See, this is the psychology. There's no way you can understand another being if you don't understand yourself.
Sir, that is.
If you don't understand it within yourself, you can't understand the other being.
I have been able to get
I have been a whore. That's how I know how to see a whore. So this is a whore.
I can say.
All right, so Austin, let's go because we need to go back to. You threw a lot out there, and we need to go back to and respond. Eliza, you can go ahead.
Okay, first thing, to go ahead and help him with his statement. You don't understand somebody else by being experienced. You identify the trait. That's what that is as far as psychology. That's just to help you with your level of understanding. Secondly, sir, you stated that you were a whore. And then you try to shame someone that has been in your shoes. And the only reason one would do that is because whenever you came to the realization and having to take ownership of your action, that's exactly what you felt, was shame and ridicule and judgment. Now, here's the thing. Just because you feel that does not mean that everyone else has grown up in a situation or has the same mindset that you do. I am happy that you have whatever beliefs you have, but just like we said earlier, those are your beliefs. That is your opinion. An opinion strives from certain things that you identify as. I don't have the same opinions of you. As you, sorry, not of you. You identify as a Caucasian man. I identify as a galactic woman. I'm not saying black anymore, but y'all kind of get the gist. Therefore, there's a lot of things where you won't be able to relate to me and I won't be able to relate to you. So my third thing is, I think one can truly have an authentic identification of those who have been in a sex industry or an industry that is considered a sex industry if they've been employed by said industry. Not the onlookers, because the onlookers is almost like Wizard of Oz. Do you guys remember what Oz looked like? The really big smoking head and all that kind of stuff, the illusion behind that. And then what happened whenever the little red curtain was pulled? All of these people that are in this industry are behind the little red curtain. It's a very select club. And okay, that's my husband that's in backstage. But part of being a part of that elusive club is that we get to see everything as a whole. And fourthly, it's sounding like what I said before was absolutely right at the fact that these people are empowered whenever they work in these industries because they can handle the ridicule, the judgment, the fear mongering, the hatred, and everything else that comes along with it, and still be able to hold their head up high. And I understand for a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of ego and that are dealing with a lot of pain and a hurt and who haven't actually gone through a healing process, it stings so much that we feel like we have to flare our hands and try to be seen. But we were talking about people in the sex industry. If you don't identify as somebody in the sex industry, you shouldn't get triggered. This man was triggered so much that he had to leave. I'm just saying. And he appears back. Hello, how are you doing? Did you have to go?
Hello, exiled one.
Hello, how are you doing?
That's my hubby.
Oh, hello there.
I'd also like to point out, my friend, as a child of the Most High, you're supposed to hate the sinner, not have resentment against, hate the sin, not have resentment against the sinner. You're supposed to teach them the message with love, not hate and resentment.
Well, this is wonderful America. Yeah, we don't know how to do that shit. Come on now. We in the process of healing. We ain't there yet.
You got a lot of work to do, inner work, before he enters your temple. He's not there yet.
Or before he enters the sex industry. Either way.
I see your pain, my friend. Your pain was caused by a woman when you decided to stop being that fast man and you gave your heart to a woman that you trusted and she betrayed that.
Yeah, sounds like healing. Ironically, my channel is about healing. I can give you tips and tricks. Just saying.
We do know a lot about that, been through a lot of it with each other.
It's great to meet you both. You seem awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a different kind of troll, man. I'm a real nice guy.
He's a troll that trolls the trolls, and I'm just the one that's over here like, I don't even know why you deal with them.
Yeah, that's me and my business partner.
I'm just like, I'd rather be over here at the happy space, you know? And ironically, I was doing a TikTok live, and my husband's like, babe, I found a group. I said, okay. He goes, well, they're vegans. I was like, wait, what? Why are you telling me about vegans? He's like,
well, I was excited. I've never found this part of YouTube.
I'm not a vegan. So I was like, why are you telling me about vegans? And he's like, well, some of the stuff you're doing is some of the stuff they're saying. Okay. I eat what some people would consider healthy, but not like nasty healthy. In other words, I'm not eating a whole lot of the stuff and I don't make my decisions based off of what the new TikTok trend is. I do it because it's something that fits my body. If I need some type of meat because of my specific blood type or my specific body type, I eat a certain type of meat. If I need type of vegetables or fruits, specifically fruit juices, natural fruit juices, I will those. And when I say natural fruit juices, I'm not talking about the shit that sits there and says natural fruit juice on the fucking bottle. I mean actually from the fruit.
Can
all
I
the good
recommend a
enzymes
movie
and
to you?
all the good stuff in there.
Exactly.
Can I recommend a film to you? I think you're going to like this. And it's not, I do recommend you watch Dominion, but this is not Dominion that I'm recommending.
Okay.
Is this vegan propaganda?
No, it's more historical information, but some people might call it that. But let me drop it in chat for you.
I'll be interested in that. I love history.
Okay. Well, my thing is, I'm a so like I said, I don't even refer to as being black anymore. I refer to either being as cosmic or galactic. And there's been some people that ask me why, and when I give the explanation, it's so simple, it pisses some people off. Would you guys like the explanation?
No.
You said no. That's
Oh,
nice.
shit, I'm unmuted. I've been muted 3 times within
Sure,
the
go
past
for it.
minutes.
Yeah, we've been waiting on you, my friend.
I know. I keep getting muted for having a differing opinion.
Well, no, it's not that you had a different opinion. You decided to go ahead and throw insults in there, and whenever you're
No,
throwing,
there was no ad hominem attacks. I called it for what it was. Whore is an actual definition of a person. That's not an ad hominem.
actually,
That's a description. That's a description. That's a description of one's personality.
that's an occupation, sir. A whore
Yeah.
is someone who literally trades sex for they trade that for currency or services rendered. That is an occupation. That is not a person. That is not a personal identity.
Okay, we'll go with that. Are you married?
Now there's harlots. Yeah, she's married to me.
Duh. I'm like, no,
I'm asking the individual themselves. I'm not asking the other person who's speaking for that individual. Are you married, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you the head of your household?
No, my husband is.
Right on. So he's the head of you?
Yes.
Good. Nice. That's all. There's nothing after that. That's it. Yep. Pretty simple. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to argue.
Hold on. Do you know we're not arguing. We're not arguing. We're gonna give you a bit of our history. Do you know when I first got with my wife? I knew her since we were kids, but when we first got into a relationship, she was an exotic dancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, why?
We can't all be perfect.
I know I was, and it was the shit. For acknowledging me, I appreciate you.
Oh shit! It's funny because I have some friends that are dancers.
But like I said, man, it's the sinner that you're supposed to teach the message to with love. It's the sin that you're supposed to hold resentment against, not that person. And you seem to like confuse that. And that's a little bit concerning, honestly.
No, you don't have to be concerned with me.
If we're gonna throw Bible verses out there, since people love those things.
Oh no, I'm not a Bible thumper.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna throw those Bible verses out there, can somebody tell me the story about David and how?
There's so many things wrong with the Bible, like how God murdered 3.5 million people and Satan murdered 0, or how God sacrificed his child. There's so many fucking things wrong with the Bible. I think a psychopath wrote the Bible. There's no way an all-loving, all-knowing, all-powerful being wrote the Bible that we're praise.
I'm trying not to open this box, honey, but I'm probably gonna open it though. I'm trying not to. Okay.
Go ahead. Go. Come at me. I can answer anything. Go ahead. I'm genuine.
Nobody's here to come at you, my friend.
I don't always want to be right. I can answer shit for what it is. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not going at you. I was agreeing with some of the stuff. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just going to say 2 things about that, and then I'm going to come back around full circle to the sex industry type of topic and situation. First, people do not understand that everybody that supposedly was in the Bible at that time was illiterate. So if you guys are illiterate, which means you cannot read nor write, how the fuck did y'all write some shit? I'll wait.
Yeah, that's just one out. That's just one out of like 1,000 things that are wrong with the Bible.
Exactly. But see, that's one of the simplest ways. Just one of the ways. Thing number 2, people fail to realize that back then everybody was fucking everybody. You want to talk about sex industry? We could sit there and bring the Bible into that shit. Everybody was fucking everybody, and everybody got mad that Jesus had a chick and he wasn't sitting there trying to fuck dudes. The main thing that people will not sit there and tell you, you have to look really, really close in the Bible. The other disciples, or let's say the homies, didn't really like the chick because the chick was getting more play from Jesus than they. Anywho, I digress. So bringing it back around, my thing is also in the Bible it said dance like David danced, and supposedly, and I say supposedly because my galactic ass wasn't there, maybe, or if I was, I forgot. I'm working my way onto that. But my thing is this: in the Bible it said dance like David danced, and one of the things that happened is that whenever he was actually, I think he was married, and God told him to go out and celebrate a blessing that he got. So this man celebrated so hard, he started peeling off clothes, sitting there and throwing them. And he was literally parading, prancing. He was praising, he was celebrating. And everybody looked at this man like he was batshit crazy. Everybody was like, oh my God, what the fuck is he doing? Including the queen, his wife, his chick, which look, that's a whole nother, I'm gonna get into that too. His chick was sitting here looking at him looking at him as if he was crazy and he was an embarrassment. So whenever people are talking about exotic dancers, why is it that supposedly they are so shameful, but my good sir, you disagree with a lot of ideology of the Bible, as you stated, but then you're kind of following right along into the same tidbit as that. And the main reason that God told David to do that is because of the exact thing we were talking about. A lot of people, they associate nakedness with shame, with, dirty, with uncleanliness, with all of these other negative aspects. And let's be real, they only did that because they knew that when some men and some naked, when some men and some women.
Hey, sweetie.
They were.
Let me get a look at you. One second.
Oh shit.
Oh, it's my girl. It's Aaliyah. I didn't mean to cut you off, Aaliyah. You were in the middle of something.
It's Eliza.
Eliza.
Just call me
Yo, how you
Forgive
been,
my
bro?
friend here.
You remember me, Eliza?
We actually know your friend. How you been, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. Who's that talking?
Exile One, her husband.
Hubby.
Oh, what's up, fam? Which one is he? Where's he talking from?
No camera,
Middle
but he's
top?
great.
Oh, okay. He's always got no camera. I like to see his face.
Yeah, that's what you said before too.
Look at Austin's.
Where is he? Oh, there's that handsome bastard, that white boy with that beautiful black queen.
Hey,
Oh shit.
that might be sexy as fuck, and I do that shit all day long. Yes, sir.
What do you do all day long? Let me see this girl.
Exile.
Oh, you do them?
Yes.
You
So,
now you straight.
But initially, what I was saying is that, a lot of people connect that to certain things. And the main reason why is because they didn't want certain people get naked and then they potentially losing their spouse or losing what they thought that was their convenient, what we now call a boo thing or fuck buddy or side chick or how side dude, whatever y'all want to sit there and call it, their convenient sexual to somebody else. That's the only reason that was actually even put into play.
See, now the unslaved name to the channel is making sense. So where'd Polly go?
Polly, I think, is live right now.
Yeah, he was
I think
probably
he's
live.
And he was scanning for channels that are live. I bet they don't even know you're live because they would probably be here. Well,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they don't want to attack your channel like that. It's only people they want to go at it with.
This is a newbie channel, so
Since I'm here, I bet they would want to be here. You could go there.
But yeah, we'll probably we'll be maybe going over there, but just wanted to end it and thank all of you guys for showing up. Thanks, Zen. Nice to meet you guys. Eliza, one.
Had a great time. Thank you.
Hope you guys have a good one.
Nice chatting with you all. Have a great day.
Yeah, do it again.
Night, Austin.
Austin don't trip out.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to say.
Peace.
Fuck you guys. Except for you, O'Shea. I love you.